Salvete omnes. I am Magaser Hodges, and this is FVA Latin 2 for 2022-2023 school year. Welcome. I'm happy y'all are here. This is just a quick introductory video to tell you about what you can expect from this class, how to get started, a little bit about how assignments are given, submitted, and graded. And just so you know enough to be dangerous. I'll update a little bit as we go. So without further ado, let's get started. So first day of class, you will see everything runs through It's Learning here. I am on our It's Learning page. And the first thing you will see in the planner is Welcome to FVA Latin 2. This is just a quick introductory assignment. No real Latin happening here, just you getting going through, seeing this video, then getting access to the required online platforms for this class, and filling out an introductory survey, then having an opportunity to just review a little bit of Latin vocabulary, see what you remember from last year. So in this assignment, you will start by clicking on this introductory unit learning path right here. I've already gone through it because I just recorded this video without any sound. So this is version 2. But the first thing you'll see is this intro video. If you're doing this early, you are going to see the video I recorded last year. This one should be new and improved. The next thing that you'll see in this learning path is the FVA Latin class required accounts. This is a Google document that has the 5 or 6 accounts that we'll be using in class this year. Quizlet, Blukit, Flipgrid, Remind, Classroom, Google Classroom, and Edpuzzle. Out of all these, the most some of these you may already have an account for. If so, great. If you don't, go to this, follow the links here or follow the instructions. And if you don't have an account on the website, I would suggest just using the sign in with Google option and then choosing your school Google account. And just so it's attached to that and you don't have to remember all sorts of different passwords and stuff like that. Out of all of these, so Quizlet, we use Quizlet and Blukit will be used to review vocabulary. Flipgrid is a video recording platform that we may use for different responses or, Latin recitation, things like that. Remind is a platform where you can actually have reminders that I sent to your phone. Like text message, if there's a quiz coming up, a test coming up, something like that, I'll send out a remind message. Promise I'm not going to blow up your phone at like 3 a.m. Google Classroom, out of all these, probably the most important one. A lot of our assignments are posted and submitted on Google Classroom. That doesn't mean that you have to check Google Classroom separately from It's Learning. Everything on It's Learning, everything that is on Google Classroom is posted on It's Learning, and it'll follow a link right to Google Classroom. But in order to access it, you have to be in my class, and following this link will do that for you. Lastly, Edpuzzle is an online video platform that I can use to post videos that have questions embedded in them, and it works best if you are a part of my class for those assignments. So for these 6 things, get signed up for these. The next item you'll see is an introductory survey. It's just a Google form with some basic information on it. Please answer these as best you can. And lastly, in this learning path is the Latin 1 review Quizlet set. This is just a big group of Latin words that we learned in Latin 1 in my class. May not be your class if you didn't take my class in Latin 1, and that's okay. I don't expect everybody to know all of these, but just going through this and doing the learn mode or test mode or just looking at the flashcards just to see if you can get some of that Latin flowing back through your brain before we get started. And once you've done these 4 things, that's it for the introductory. That is it for the introductory learning path, and you should be good to go. The next thing you'll see is actual Latin. 2 plans for 1 week. I just wanted to keep the housekeeping stuff separate from the Latin stuff. So you'll see we're going to start by just reviewing nouns and how they work in Latin. I try and make my descriptions as thorough as possible and clear as possible. And I'm just going to kind of direct your attention down here to these resources Typically, you'll see a master presentation attached. This is kind of a running slideshow of everything that we've covered in a unit. I've also provided a link for my Latin 2 review playlist, which is weeks 1 through 6. It's on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel, so make sure you mash that like button. Just kidding. But you may want to subscribe just because it does have anything I post. Well, so you'll see it, and that's stuff for this class. I have a lot of playlists that I've made from last year. I may go back through and update those videos to correct them or make them a little better, et cetera, et cetera. You'll also see a link to that Latin 1 review vocab Quizlet if you didn't have a chance to review the vocabulary. But most importantly, you'll see this link here. It says week 1 noun review activities, and then in parentheses, you'll see Google Classroom. Make sure you've signed up for my Google Classroom before you follow this link. Each week, the activities will all be linked down here in the resources. And like I said, majority of them will be done through Google Classroom. So if you follow this link right here, you'll see a 403 error. That's just because it's embedded. You'll want to follow this link to get to it. And while I like Google Classroom, it's set up somewhat confusingly. So I just like to go over this. So you'll see at the top here something like week 1, noun review, so on and so forth. One thing I don't like about Google Classroom is the way it organizes the assignments. It does it in like a descending order. So I tried to include some markings to make that a little more clear. So you'll see before the assignment name something like uppercase I dot lowercase v. That uppercase I means week 1. That lowercase v means item 5 for that week. You'll notice as I go down, it'll be big 1, little 4, week 1. Item number 4. So it's going backwards. So you'll typically want to scroll all the way to the bottom first, where you just see little number 1. That means item 1 is just a noun review quiz. You're not graded on this. This is just to see what you remember from Latin last year and kind of give you an idea of what you know and may not know. The second thing are some presentation videos. You'll notice they're a little long. This is just me reviewing how nouns work in Latin. This should be a review of most of the stuff you've reviewed in Latin 1. And if it's something kind of new, then consider this a resource for you. I'm going through the attached master presentation. That's the presentation that is linked in It's Learning. That's what I'm going over in this video. So if you just want the copy of those notes, it's linked in that master presentation. I'll try and go back and add that link to this thing in Google Classroom. As you go up, you'll see item big 1, little 3. That is week 1, item 3. This is noun declension practice. It is ungraded. It is a Google form quiz that you can do over and over again. Should also show you the answers after you've submitted it. And then you'll see big 1, little 4. That is week 1, item 4. And next to that, you'll see in parentheses formative grade. I try to clear. You'll see there's a lot of assignments on here, but the only thing I'm grading are these types of things that are marked as formative grade. Typically, if it's marked as formative grade, you typically have 1 chance on it. That doesn't mean you have 1 chance for that grade, but you do have 1 chance for that assignment. That's a little confusing. I'll make that distinction. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So this typically with any formative grade like this, where you only have 1 chance on the graded assignment, I'll give you a practice that you can do as many times as you want. So before you attempt this, you're going to want to make sure you know it, that you feel like you have practiced enough to know what's going on. And then there's a summary statement kind of at the end, a very short thing just to kind of close it all out. And that's really the first week of assignments are all kind of contained here. Just make sure I just kind of wanted to explain how the numbering works and how you can tell what's graded and what's not. Okay, so let's talk about grading a little bit. In this class, you can, any grade can be made up and you do not get late penalties or anything like that, just within reason. Obviously, it's going to be hard for me to grade something from September in April. So typically all semester 1 work is due by the end of semester 1. All semester 2 work is due by the end of semester 2. And I'll send out updates on, final due dates and things like that as they come up on It's Learning. And like I said, any grade can be made up. In the grade book, you won't see things labeled in the grade book as like an assignment. For example, you won't see noun declension quiz in the grade book. What you'll probably see is unit 0 grammar. and that will link up to just the concept of Latin grammar. If you take this quiz and you bomb it, first off, if you take it in good faith and try, the lowest grade I can put in I'll put in is a 50. The only thing lower than that would be a missing, and a missing grade will be calculated as a 0. And I'll put in a missing if it's one, missing, not you haven't turned it in, or two, that something was turned in, but it was either really incomplete, seemed to be answering the wrong question, or just based off your answers, I really can't tell whether or not you know Latin or learned the topic or even interacted with the topic. So if something's just turned in with a bunch of like, I don't know, or weird answers, I'll just put that in as a missing because I consider that insufficient evidence. That being said, down the road, on this quiz, you only have one chance. If someone says like, oh, well, Hodges, I did a really bad job. I made a 50. I'd like to make that up. Well, down the road, there will be another noun thing that kind of assesses similar knowledge to this. And when we cross that bridge, or when we get to that point, you'll be able to take that and I'll replace your lower grade with your later higher grade. The reason for that is, one, I'm more interested in what you can figure out in the moment based off what you've learned than your ability to go through and memorize an answer key. Yeah. So, and also it gives us a little more flexibility on, what assignments need to be done and when. It kind of minimizes the busy work and keeps focus on the material in class. Now, once we start getting things in the gradebook, I'll make another video kind of explaining this in more detail. Again, it'll make a little more sense once you start seeing it pop up. Just basically, when you see something that says formative grade, that you're going to want to do it, and you're going to make sure before you try it that you have a good idea of what you're doing. And that, I think, should conclude this video. I guess the one last thing, if I can add anything, would be the best way to reach me is through It's Learning. I'll try and respond as quickly as possible. I'm available at several different times to do, if you are really struggling and you want to kind of some one-on-one help or some smaller group help, I'm happy to set up a Microsoft Teams, Google Meet meeting, video meeting, where I can give you more help than I could, through messages back and forth. And other than that, if I can help in any way, please reach out to me on It's Learning. Like I said, my name is Justin Hodges, and I hope that this is a great year. If there's anything I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know. Walete.